you want to elaborate on your interpretation of John 10:30, where he says, "I and the Father are one"?
Absolutely. Yes. That's a good question. I and the Father are one. The Greek word there, of course, is neuter. It's not one person, then you're not arguing that. Although, let me throw this in, that there are millions of UPC people who think the Father is the Son. I mention that to you, not to be hard on them, but to show you the sort of chaos in which we are currently involved. None of you are probably out there thinks the Father and the Son are one, but millions of UPC people, just as sincere, just as devoted, think the Father and the Son are the same person. You see, the point is this: they can see that God is one person. And they say, my goodness, God is one person. Well, we know Jesus is God, so guess what? The Father must be the Son. This is a sort of madness that we're involved with. At least it's mad to many of you out there. Let's be kind to our friends, but realize that we can be in very dire straits trying to define God. So I and the Father are one. In John 17:11 and 22, you have the Father is one with the Christians and the Son. The believers are one in the same sense. That's not a problem. They're one in mind and purpose. And you'll find Paul saying that he and his co-workers, co-evangelists are one in purpose, not each one person, of course, one in purpose, one thing, if you like. But that verse cannot be, I think, applied in such a way that it contradicts the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of singular, personal pronouns for God. I'm the Father, he keeps saying. 1,300 times the word God clearly means the Father. Surely that sort of evidence must weigh something in the balance.
Let me ask you something to follow up on that, Anthony. So in John 10, just to read the context, a little bit of verse 30, just the lead up to that, in verses 26 through 27, Jesus says, "But you do not believe because you are not among my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." Now, if you compare that with Psalm 95, verses 6 through 8, we read, "O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as at Meribah, as on the day at Massah in the wilderness." And so I think that in this text in John 10, that's a clear allusion, because you have the combination of the people being the sheep of his hand, the people of his pasture, and the reference to hearing his voice there as well. You also have in Deuteronomy 32:39, we have because we see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God beside me. I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand, which we also read about in John 10 as well, and where Jesus says, "No one can snatch out of my hand." And also Isaiah 43:13, also henceforth I am he, there is none who can deliver from my hand. I work, and who can turn it back? And that's Yahweh speaking. So in John 29, Jesus further tells us that no one can snatch out of the Father's hand, and so he thus presents himself as being the unique collaborator, if you will, with the Father in bringing about bringing about salvation. What would you say to that, Anthony?
That's a great question. I agree with you totally. I would also point out that Paul is the suffering servant. People know that the suffering servant is Messiah. Paul applies the suffering servant verses to himself and Barnabas. Not a problem at all. This is simply agency. We absolutely concede that Jesus is as God. He's speaking for God. He's doing the God things, the Yahweh things, without being Yahweh. It's the principle of agency